Emma Stone, Quentin Rampage Jackson, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, all today on Live with the Guy. Before we get started, we'll introduce my producer, Nat, over here.
Hello.
She'll be off camera giving her opinions and hopefully reading some articles for us. She will be gone next week, so I'm going to have, next week, right?
Just for one day.
Yeah. Or just one day?
Thursday.
Oh.
And then for our live show,
yeah.
I'll be on there.
Okay. She's going to Vancouver, so hopefully she has a good time there. Okay, let's get right into this first article. And this was Emma Stone. And I actually hadn't heard about this movie until I read this article. And once I read the article, I checked out the trailer, and it looked absolutely amazing. The fact that it got a standing ovation on top of that, I'm pretty interested in checking this thing out. So let's read a little bit about it.
Emma Stone shocks fans with 6-minute standing ovation for gory alien kidnapping thriller Bugonia.
Yeah, so she plays, which looks like a power feminist business executive, but she gets kidnapped by two conspiracy theory nuts who think she's an alien. Is she actually an alien? Is that the twist at the end of the movie? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the twist. But she actually shaves her head for this movie and just looks nothing like the normal Emma Stone. So she really committed to this role. Let's read a little bit about it.
If you think Emma Stone and director Yorgos Lanthimos pushed the envelope with Poor Things, wait till you see Bugonia. 2 years after the duo came to the Lido with their previous Oscar winner Poor Things, they returned with a perverse thriller about a female CEO who is kidnapped and tortured by one of her employees, Jesse Plemons, because he suspects that she's an alien. Bugonia features push-the-envelope scenes between captor and captive, leaving the Venice audience covering their eyes and gasping at the film's gorier moments.
Yeah, and so is that the end of the article?
No.
Yeah, let's read a little bit more.
I usually go to you so I can
avoid
this.
Why don't we start reading the beginning of the article and then skip way down?
Okay.
Because the beginning's usually just not much.
Bugonia, an English language remake of the Yang Jun-hwan's 2003 South Korean film Save the Green Planet, is the fourth collaboration between Lanthimos and Stone, following the favorite Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness.
Yeah, and it seems like foreign films are really starting to come up because they do really innovate and try things that normal Hollywood isn't doing. Hollywood is creating the same cookie cutter scripts over and over with the same story arcs. So I used to watch a lot of Korean films, and they are usually very innovative when it comes to the script. Do you have anything about this?
Not really. I haven't seen any of them, actually. So
okay, let's go into Quentin Rampage Jackson here. Oh, sorry, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I switched the order up here.
From Variety, Dwayne Johnson uncontrollably sobs as The Smashing Machine gets 15-minute Venice standing ovation and generates Oscar buzz.
Yeah, and this looks absolutely fantastic. I actually put this as one of the thumbnails a few months ago when I first heard about it. I know a lot about the MMA fighter that this movie is based upon. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was great casting. Emily Blunt's also in the movie. I think she's going to be good casting. There has been some photos emerging of Dwayne The Rock Johnson recently at this film festival, and he looks really, really skinny. There's rumors that he has health issues. I hope that's not the case. I hope that it is that maybe he's preparing for his next role and he had to lose some weight. But for this particular role with the Smashing Machine, I know he did put on a lot of weight, much like Batista put on a lot of weight for one of his recent roles. After Batista put on that weight, he had a lot of health issues because of his age and the weight gain. The amount of substances you're going to have to use at that age to get that bulked up is probably quite a bit. It's not good for their health. I think perhaps Batista started watching his health a lot more after that, and the same may be happening for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He may shrink down to normal size. Okay, let's read about it.
Judging by their rapturous reaction to his performance as wrestler Mark Kerr in The Smashing Machine at the Venice Film Festival on Monday night, that seems to be the consensus out of Italy. The 53-year-old actor sobbed uncontrollably as the audience on the Lido erupted into a 15-minute standing ovation, one of the longest at this year's festival so far.
Yeah, and everything about this movie looks like it really did hit the mark. So as soon as this comes out, I'll probably buy pre-order tickets to this. I've been pretty excited about this for a long time. Not necessarily being a big Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan, but just the movie in general really looks like it hit the mark. And I used to teach MMA, so this is kind of, I'm always interested in MMA movies. They rarely are any good though.
As the hooting and cheering stretched on, the Smashing Machine proved to be the most emotional premiere on the Lido since Brendan Fraser collapsed into tears 4 years ago, launching his Oscar campaign for The Whale.
Yeah, and if The Rock is in bad health, this is a great movie to kind of maybe cap his career with, or at least have something that gave a little bit more wide range on his acting ability, not just playing a muscle meathead, but something like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, where the wrestler actually had a lot of character development and it was a very emotional script. So this looks like it could hit those same type of points here.
And Rafa says, good morning. And he says, no, don't go there, Nat. Well, I wasn't supposed to announce it till next week that I was going to Vancouver, but yeah, I got to go do some paperwork. It's only for 3 days, though.
Yeah, just for 3 or 4 days. So you won't be gone long. Plus, most of that's over the weekend, which is pretty good.
Yeah, we don't have, we have work, but we don't have live shows.
Yeah, we may be missing or starting later or starting earlier over the next couple months. We're trying to move studios, so that's not going to happen for another probably month and a half. But once it does, you'll slowly see the sets start to be disassembled as we move it to the other studio. And yeah, eventually we will move the cameras, but we want to try to do
the setup first.
Yeah, do the setup first.
But then there's also all the finding it, and over the next couple of weeks as well, we might be MIA, or videos might be a bit slower because we are having to kind of traipse around the city to do that. Let's
get into this. The new studio is actually really nice though, so that's great.
Well, the one potential one, but we just do still have to look at other ones.
Yeah.
Rampage?
Yeah, let's go into Rampage here. And I did cover this Rampage story a few days ago when it first broke out. And I really commended Quentin Rampage Jackson for his initial reaction to this. The veil is starting to slip and he's not having the same reaction as he did initially. This could really negatively affect his career in a lot of ways. And considering his son is going to need a big payout or big lawyer fees, for this incident, Quentin Rampage Jackson may want to watch what he says in the public eye right now. So let's see what it says here.
From Wrestling News, Rampage Jackson issues new statement on Raja Jackson's actions.
And if you don't know what happened, Raja Jackson was at an amateur wrestling show, kind of helping his friend. The promoters wanted him to come into the ring, and he just went ballistic and started assaulting another wrestler, put him in the hospital. I believe he was in a coma, if I'm not mistaken. There was an incident shortly before the show where the other wrestler smashed a can over Raja's head, and he was planning to get payback during the show. At least that's what certain videos showed that emerged.
Former UFC champion Quentin Rampage Jackson has issued a new statement regarding the violent incident involving his son, Raja Jackson, and independent wrestler Psycho Stu. In the statement, Jackson says while his son took things too far, he places blame on a drunk Psycho Stu and the Knock X Pro Wrestling promotion for allowing the situation to happen in the first place. He also revealed that he and his family have been receiving racist ending threats in the wake of the incident. The incident occurred at the Knox X Pro event, and we've spoken about that. Do you want me to find the...
You can read a little bit more, yeah.
So he said, this has gone too far. I'm sick of being quiet and letting all the low IQ people fall for the clickbait. Yes, my son took things too far, and I'm pissed at him for being a POS and the way he handled it. But if Psycho Stu wasn't drunk and wouldn't have hit my son over the head with a real beer can while he was live streaming on his own stream, then Knox wouldn't have felt like they had to make things right by letting Raja get back in the ring. If my son would have just went to the police when the beer can incident happened, the whole event would have been shut down and he could have...
Yeah, and it's not a matter of either going to the police or taking it to the extreme like Raja Jackson kind of did. There is that nice in-between which normal people would have conducted themselves in. The more this goes on, the more statements I feel like Rampage Jackson may put out that's not going to help the situation. Keeping this quiet, not putting out statements, maybe even making a non-disclosure agreement with a settlement to the wrestler Psycho Stu himself to avoid criminal charges would have been the best way to kind of approach this.
And then he continued, but no, my son is not as smart as I'd like for him to be. Then he continued, now my family and I are getting racist threats because of all the misinformation being posted so content creators can get paid from views.
Well, and of course he's trying to play the victim here, which is just the wrong rabbit hole to go down, especially with the cultural shift and bringing racism into this. I just don't think it's a good look. I really like the way Rampage reacted in the beginning. These new statements just don't look good on him.
It's a very Colin Kaepernick move.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing what the people criticize him were expecting them to do.
Well,
so now he's doing it.
And he could come out and say, that's my son. He did something wrong. I'm going to stand by him, and hopefully we can work this thing out. These other statements where he's trying to get victim points on the victim total poll, does not look good.
And then he continued, people actually think my son just snuck in a ring in front of a live audience and picked Psycho Stu up without the permission to be there. Get smart, people. It was staged, but Raja took it too far. He only shook his hand and accepted Psycho Stu's drunken apology because they said he could get in the storyline. He was told he could F him up. I have witnesses that says this isn't the first time that Psycho Stu has done some drunk S backstage to a fan.
Yeah, he's trying to justify the actions of his son, which are really unjustifiable, and nobody thinks it wasn't staged. We know the incident was staged, but we know that incident went way too far. They were streaming on Kick for almost the whole day, if not the whole day. Hours and hours and hours of footage have emerged. So we've seen everything that happened backstage. We've seen the apology. We've seen some of the other wrestlers say, get back in the ring. We've seen all that, and his son still took it too far. It's not like, well, we're unaware of the things that happened behind the scenes or before the incident itself actually took place.
And he said, my son should face the consequences for going too far. He knows better. That's why he didn't tell me anything about the storyline. But Psycho Stu is lucky. I wasn't there when he hit my son over the head with a beer can the day after he got a concussion. But again, that guy didn't know he had a concussion either.
Yeah,
I mean, the beer can stuff.
Even though it was a real beer can, he didn't hit him over the head with the real beer can. What he did was, it was kind of for show. He hit him, but crushed the can at the same time. So it looked like it was his head collapsing the can when it was actually his hand. It's a traditional wrestling move. So
I mean, even Miley Cyrus can do that trick. So it's not like he was really very hurt. From sparring the day before, I wouldn't have cared if a bunch of pro wrestlers would have jumped me. I'm a father first. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Let's all learn a lesson. Keep your damn hands to yourself.
Well, and there's one more thing here. If he had a concussion, he should have never been going in the wrestling ring himself. But yet he volunteered to do that.
That too.
So, okay. There was one more thing about that story, actually. There was another article. We have a lot of articles today, so I didn't put the backup article, but it looks like state prosecutors are taking that case over from the LAPD, and statements are kind of coming out through third parties saying he is going to do jail time, and they are looking to prosecute him. The reason the state attorney wants to take it from the LAPD is the LAPD typically don't prosecute cases like that. Okay, let's go into Howard Stern here. And Howard Stern was big when I came up, but this Trump derangement syndrome that he's got has really made him look bad over the last few years, as well as that jibby jab era and a lot of statements that came out during that.
From The Hollywood Reporter, Howard Stern delays Sirius XM return until next week after teasing big reveal about his future. Stern has been slated to return to his show Tuesday after rumors swirled about his show being canceled.
Yeah, and it's not that it's being canceled. We reported on this a few weeks ago, and it looks like they offered him a contract that pays very, very little, especially compared to his current and previous contracts. Sirius XM understands there is a cultural shift happening, and Howard Stern just doesn't have the viewers he used to. So they're offering him so little, hoping he can't actually accept the offer. I'm guessing what he's going to do is probably try to go onto YouTube or do something himself, most likely, because nobody in their right mind or no media company in their right mind is going to offer him a massive contract at this point. Okay, let's read a little bit what's going on.
The radio jock has been slated to return to his Sirius XM show Tuesday morning after weeks of promos promised a big reveal following swirling speculation that his show would be canceled. However, the Howard Stern show's social accounts posted early Tuesday that Howard Stern will now speak Monday, September 8, urging listeners to stay tuned. Stern's return followed a news cycle dominated by questions about his future after The Sun reported a month ago that his show was set to end because there was no chance that Sirius XM and Stern would be able to come to terms on a new contract.
Yeah, and Howard Stern's been on Sirius XM for a long time. That was one of the major talents they got at the time with the emergence of Sirius XM, and they promoted it to get a lot of viewers to go over to Sirius XM. That being said, a lot of people didn't see him because it's kind of behind a paywall, or it's not easily accessible as free content. So if he does make a transition over to YouTube and he leaves the politics behind, he does have the Hollywood connections. He does have the money to start backing his own show. And like, he was in radio and did a lot of his own production for a long time. And he does have his regular producers on the show. So, I mean, I could see him doing a transition well over to YouTube or something like Spotify. The problem is, I don't know if he can leave politics behind. And that's constantly going to come up with guests from the other side of the aisle. And if that conversation goes up, it never comes out well for Stern because he was on the wrong side of history for the last 15 years. And this was somebody that was really funny and really entertaining when he first came up. Once he seemed to make it and sell out, he just became unfunny and very political.
Stern's future has been in doubt before, as THR has noted, but the radio legend has always managed to strike some sort of deal to keep himself on air. The unexpected delay raises more questions than answers, but it also suggests that a deal may be cooking, it may just need some tweaking, or perhaps it's all falling apart for real this time.
Yeah, and if he does make a transition into his own produced show, or makes a transition to another network or another station, I could see him doing a much more serious show. When I was reading this article, checked out some of his more recent stuff, and he's just not funny anymore. Maybe make a transition to something serious. It's very hard with the kind of opinions he has. They're very unpopular.
And it's interesting that during the whole Me Too era and the whole rise of the eighth wave of feminism, he was pretty much unscathed, even though there were a lot of accusations swirling. But even his comedy style, the things he used to say, he was able to kind of blaze past over that because of the TDS.
Well, yeah, because of the TDS, because I think he actually sold out to the liberal media and he took a lot of their talking points, so they didn't come after him. So a lot of these rumors didn't swirl, and he probably made a lot of out-of-court settlements, would be my best guess, because if anybody was ready for a cancellation, it was him. But he also may have realized that and kind of tried to position himself on the side of power, and the side of power was progressive liberalism at the time.
I actually never liked him. I did find him gross even before my whole value set changed.
Yeah, and he was from my time, and guys from my time would have found him entertaining. And then he had that movie, and it seemed like after that movie came out, there was a switch. Okay, let's go into DC and Marvel here.
From Deadline, Frank Grillo on DCU having a real secure handle on what's happening, and MCU being a little fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, and he's saying the same thing a lot of people are thinking, but I think he's worked for both organizations here, and that is the MCU is dead. It's in the wrong direction. It's headed downhill. DC may not necessarily be headed in the right direction, but they're at least making moderately okay movies, meaning that they're not putting a lot of messaging or progressive politics in their movies. So with Superman recently, they hit the mark, but it wasn't necessarily profitable. I want to see DCU take more risk and make really good scripts. If that happens, DCU has a chance. The MCU and the way Disney is headed and try to manufacture everything, it does not look good for the MCU. And the MCU is the Marvel universe, where the DCU is the DC Studio Comics universe. So Batman, Superman versus Marvel, X-Men, stuff like that.
As an actor who's seen both sides of the aisle, the MCU and DCU, Frank Grillo is comparing how the two powerhouse superhero studios approach their sprawling multiverses. In an interview with People, the Captain America Winter Soldier and Peacemaker cast member told that the two companies have different approaches to their filmmaking and ideating. It's different. It's not organized in the same way. DC is really like all the scripts are in front of you and you have kind of a real secure handle on what's happening. And then he said...
Let's stop there. Let's click on the article with the blue girl, because I think I forgot to get that article actually, and I had it written down here. I don't remember grabbing that article.
Okay.
So did it come up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's read that.
Oh, you want to go to that?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's go to that article.
Meh. From Deadline, Jin X Moonsoon wants X-Men to cast a trans woman as Mystique, asked agent to start dropping my name.
Yeah, and this is part of the wrong direction that the MCU is going. DC doesn't seem to be doing the same absolute blunders. I could see Disney casting her without a doubt, or him without a doubt. So let's read a little bit about this. This would be a bad move. Mystique actually has the body of a woman, so that alone should disqualify.
It is one of the main things that it's
Yeah.
a skin. I mean, before they painted Rebecca Roman, like they had to do the painting.
And she was allergic to a lot of it, so she got a rash and stuff.
Yeah, it was a latex paint. And then with Jennifer Lawrence, they also started like that, and then they allowed her to just wear a mocap suit, and because she got also an allergic reaction. But for Rebecca Romain, I mean, she couldn't really go to the bathroom either.
Yeah, I actually used to know the makeup artist that used to make the suits, or the costume designer that used to make the suits for the Mystique. So very interesting. Okay.
And the whole point of Mystique is that she's Mystique. It's in the name, and it's like she's a seductress when she's blue. Then she can turn into anyone. That's the whole point of the thing. And we did see Nintendo with what was it? Legend of Zelda. Not go in that direction, even though there were so many rumors, and even the person wanted and kept asking to be cast as Zelda. So
yeah, it's just by the time this movie does come out, the cancellation and the cultural shift will be in full effect. This would be a huge misstep for Marvel. Okay, let's read a little bit. I think they should just get Jennifer Lawrence back. I don't see why you wouldn't.
She's annoying as hell.
Yeah, but she's already the character.
True, but I don't know what timeline they're going with.
She's looking a lot better, even if she is annoying compared to the alternative.
They should cast me. Following Jennifer Lawrence and Rebecca Romain's turns at Mystique, Jinx Moonsoon is ready for the trans actress to morph into the X-Men character. The Oh Mary Broadway star jokingly said he's going to his agent to start dropping his name for the role after Marvel Studios previously regained rights to the X-Men with a reboot in the works, explaining the significance of the character for the trans community because of the transformation.
And I don't even know who that actor is. Even if I'm willing to bet they would be willing to do the role for free because it would get international headlines and it would make them the premier trans actor or actress in Hollywood.
He said, "Can I manifest something? Marvel has now regained the rights to X-Men. I think it would be a really cool to have a trans woman be Mystique," he said on Vulture's Good One podcast. "She is my favorite Marvel character of all time, and I relate to her so much." It doesn't matter if the person relates to the character so much. It's up to the studio.
And it's going to be interesting to see these studios not try to put messaging in movies like X-Men because it lends itself to stuff like this, because it's sci-fi, because it's mutants. So Disney really has its work cut out for them to keep this thing moderate and somewhat conservative.
But it is interesting that X-Men in particular, maybe like Mystique as well, but X-Men in particular has been and has always been, or at least the LGBTQ community has always tried to code it as an LGBTQ story, as an outside story, as they're different and they have to fight for their rights. So that has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
But
especially
they can move away from it as well.
The way Disney was going, they wanted to lean into that, and I'm sure they were planning to lean into it. And something like this would have been perfect if there wasn't that cultural shift. So thank God there was the cultural shift. Okay, let's see what I had next. Star Wars, and there's a lot of hopes that this will reset the Star Wars series. Does it have the potential? Yes, it has Ryan Gosling, who did do Blade Runner 2049, I believe it was. That was much more serious, much more geared for adults. Ryan Gosling fit that role fairly well. So if Star Wars can kind of go away from maid audiences and try to put this thing more geared towards adults, it could work.
From The Hollywood Reporter, Star Wars starfighter Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre join cast as production begins. Ryan Gosling stars in the Sean Levy-directed Star Wars movie. Okay,
let's read a little bit about this.
Flynn Gray, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jamel Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams are the new additions on the call sheet for the Lucasfilm feature, which is being directed by Sean Levy and stars Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, and Matt Smith, were already revealed to be in the cast playing villains. "I feel a profound sense of excitement and honor as we begin production on Star Wars Starfighter," Levy said in a statement. "From the day Kathy Kennedy called me up, inviting me to develop an original adventure in this incredible Star Wars galaxy. This experience has been a dream come true, creatively and personally. Star Wars shaped my sense of what a story can do, how characters and cinematic moments can live with us forever. To join this storytelling galaxy with such a brilliant on-screen collaborators and all
Yeah,
is the
and
thrill
that's
of a life.
part of the problem there. Kathleen Kennedy, and this is going to be a hangover. The script is going to be a hangover from progressive Hollywood. Like, this could have potentially began to reset Star Wars if they make it R-rated. You had Ryan Gosling, you make it gritty, you make it dark, you gear it towards adults. This could have worked, but because it was, a lot of the stuff was made in the era of absolute crap Hollywood, DEI, woke progressive messaging. Yeah, they're going to try to take those things out, but Hollywood in general has been releasing a lot of movies lately, trying to move away from that, edit around a lot of bad scripting that was made, and they haven't been able to do it very well.
And I mean, the director could just be saying this, but I mean, at least he says he's excited and he feels it's an honor, and also that Star Wars helped shape his storytelling, which is a lot more to say than everybody that produced The Acolyte, for example. Most of them who said they had never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, and it is Ryan Gosling. I'm guessing he's the lead of this thing, so they do have a strong male lead, and he is very recognizable. He has a big fan base. He's from that more old star, that old avant-garde Hollywood, which people actually, they made good stars back then. So, and he's one of the younger people from that generation, or at least he looks younger from that generation. A lot of those people are really aging out, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he came really on the tail end, one of the last actors that made it through the star power making ability of Hollywood, which Hollywood seems to not have anymore. Okay, let's talk about Woody Allen. And I was shocked to see this headline, actually.
From Variety, Woody Allen wants to direct Donald Trump in another movie after 1998's Celebrity, a pleasure to work with, and a very good actor.
Okay, and maybe you can tell me, maybe you know more about Woody Allen than I do. Is he allowed in the United States right now, or is there issues with him?
I mean, I know there's always been issues, but I don't know.
With him and his daughter, there was issues.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's allowed in or not allowed in. Why don't you check really quick?
Mm-hmm.
But is he trying to make it good with the administration so he can come back into the country? Possibly. You're going to check that out right now?
Yes. So you keep talking. Yes, he's allowed into the United States.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he has a controversial past, as we know, and there's the stuff with his daughter. Well, his adopted daughter.
Yeah.
And everything that went on there. But
this would be a huge hit if Trump did this thing.
But I also get, because Woody Allen, rightly in a way, has been like such outcasted for so long because of his behavior, etc., and more of a pariah now. But I mean, in some ways, yes, deservedly. But again, a lot of people with Woody Allen specifically do like to separate the director from the actions. I don't know where I fall on that. I used to be a very big Woody Allen fan. The latest movies, it just seemed like he was trying to apologize for like all the headlines and all the controversies. But
yeah, I've never been a big Woody Allen fan, but I would definitely check out this movie if Trump was in it. They've made a lot of movies, and I took the article out, but the person that recently made the Apprentice movie, I think it was called, has a $12 million lawsuit. The Federal Bureau of Investigations is currently looking into him. All the movies they've tried to make that are Trump-hating movies, like Mickey 17 as well, which kind of had a figure that was Trump-like, have not done well. Maybe painting Trump in a good light or having him play a positive role in the movie. I think you would have a lot of conservatives actually come out there and financially support, because liberals didn't come out to support movies that hated on Trump at all.
Woody Allen wants Donald Trump for his next movie. I don't know if Trump can even act at this point.
I would like to see Ivanka Trump in something. Or not Ivanka Trump,
Melania?
Yeah, Melania Trump in something. Playing like the Ice Queen.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think she has done some like random stuff before. During a recent appearance on Bill Maher's Club Random podcast, so yes, he can be in the States if he was there, the 4-time Oscar winner said Trump was a pleasure to work with when he appeared in his 1998 film Celebrity, and that he'd be happy to work with the president again if given the chance.
Well, I'm kind of interested in looking at that podcast now, because Bill Maher said when he met Trump, he was actually very likable as well, and he was very surprised that he wasn't the man that he thought he was going to be. He was very personable, very likable, and they had a good conversation. Bill Maher didn't hold back and actually said what was on his mind and a lot of things he didn't like about Trump, and Trump supposedly took it well.
And Woody Allen continued, I'm one of the few people who can say he directed Trump. I directed Trump in Celebrity, Allen recalled, and he was a pleasure to work with and a very good actor. He was very polite, hit his mark, did everything correctly, and had a real flair for show business. I could direct him now. If he would let me direct him now that he's president, I think I could do wonders.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that, definitely. I think a lot of other people would too. A lot of people, even if it was a bad movie, would go just to see Trump in this movie or stream it. So.
And even maybe like a lot of Trump haters would even go to watch it because of that. But Rafa says, of course he can. He acts every day, Nat, about Trump. So I said, I don't think if he could act now. True.
Wait. Okay, let's go into... Oh, and he was in a Home Alone Part 2, which the Canadian government took him out of that cut of the movie in Canada. It's illegal to have Home Alone 2 with Trump in it in Canada, which is craziness. Okay, let's go into SNL. And I was pretty surprised to see this. And I'm not a big fan of SNL since they made this huge political shift. And this has been for like a decade now. But this could be an opportunity for them to really transition this show and get a lot of new fans.
And they have been doing some things that are not complete garbage and complete wokeness. But from Deadline, SNL stars Bowen Yang, Marcelo Hernandez, Chloe Feynman, and more react to cast exits ahead of season 51.
Yeah, so there are a lot of cast exits happening right now. That means there's a lot of slots open up. They already have a lot of progressives with messaging in SNL. You should bring in some real conservatives from YouTube that have crossover audiences or stand-up comedians that are more mainstream with the cultural shift that will kind of stir up trouble on set and will cause headlines so people will watch the show. Also, if they have YouTube followings, those YouTuber followings will follow them over to watch SNL and then put more conservative or mainstream style jokes, not so much progressive messaging. So SNL has been kind of become really cringe with the political jokes they make, and it's all political. And yeah, leave that out. What are you looking at right now?
I was trying to find the name of that one guy that was supposed to be on, but then they took him off right before because of his political opinions. But I couldn't find the name. Saturday Night is setting up things for season 51, and with the new season comes a cast shakeup that is seeing some of its stars departing. So far, the actors who have confirmed their exits include Heidi Gardner, Michael Longfellow, Devon Walker, and Emil Wakim, with more announcements expected soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real opportunity for them. If they don't take this opportunity to really put opposite casting in there and get outside of this political bubble they're kind of in, they need to change their writer's room a little bit as well. The View, even though I absolutely hate The View, has the opportunity to do that right now as well. They need to cut some cast and bring some conservatives in, mix it up with a little bit of debate. So, okay. Why don't we go to the next story here?
From Variety, Weapons returns as number one as Jaws 50th anniversary re-release beats Caught Stealing and The Roses.
Yeah, and much like the opening movie that we talked about with Emma Stone today, I hadn't seen Weapons trailer until the other day when it came up in the headlines, and then I watched the trailer. And if you remember from that episode, I said the trailer looked absolutely phenomenal. Again, this was a sleeper hit, much like Sinners was, and it seems to be maintaining its value week over week. So much so that it lost its number one spot and it came back. Also, the big thing to kind of look at here is Jaws 50th anniversary re-release hit number 2. So if Weapons wasn't out this week, Jaws would have been the number one movie. Re-releasing old movies with good marketing budgets could really be a thing of the future, and I would like to see that happen more. I would definitely go see a remastered Rambo or something like that.
See, that one would have been cool to watch when we went to the town where they filmed it.
Yeah, when we watched I really like Rambo First Blood, and it was filmed in Hope, Canada. And we had traveled there. It was a couple hours drive, and man, it was well worth it. It was a blast of a day. They had different carving statues of Rambo and other things there. The scenery was phenomenal. There's amazing hikes up in Hope as well. So if you're ever in Vancouver, check out Hope.
Yes. Weapons, after briefly ceding the crown to Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters, reclaimed the top spot in North America with 10.2 million over the traditional weekend and an estimated 12.4 million through Monday.
Yeah, and I would be very interested to see how many movies had the number one spot, lost it, and got it back. And the only reason they got it back is because Netflix only put K-pop Demon Hunters in there for a short run, which was a huge mistake on their part. They could have continued to run that movie in limited theaters and made a ton of money.
And also with the long weekend that just passed, because in the US it was Labor Day, so
Yeah.
Monday kind of counted also as a weekend.
Okay, let's read a little bit more.
Do you want me to read the numbers?
You can go into the, yeah.
Um,
You can go into the next article because you're not too good at reading numbers.
Thank you.
She has trouble reading numbers for some reason.
From Deadline, summer ending with 3.67 billion,
You did it fine there.
near even with the last year thanks to Weapons. Labor Day misses 4 billion projection.
Yeah, so they were projecting at the beginning of the summer this was going to be a huge summer, $4 billion, blah, blah, blah. There's so many big releases coming out. These are billion-dollar hits. And there was some big movies, but I always said this was a transitional year for a film, and that's what I hoped it was going to be, and that's what it ended up being. It didn't hit 4 billion, but 3.67 isn't necessarily bad for a transitional year. What do I mean by a transitional year? A lot of the stuff that came out this year was filmed during the progressive era. They completely had to chop up the scripts to get a lot of the messaging and political undertones out of these movies. So it really hurt the movie's overall screenings, things like this. So yeah, I'm thinking next year will be another transitional year, but headed in the right direction before you have a really big year, which I would expect probably 2027 would be huge. I'm expecting a lot of war films around 2027 as well. They'll probably go into production in 2026. Let's read a little bit about it.
A pretty anemic Labor Day box office, which will get the summer box office to 3.67 billion in 67 billion in updated ComScore figures, which is minus 0.2% with last summer's 3.677 billion. We'll get into the hows and the whys of summer later, but May was the only month that was up this year over last May, plus 76%, while June, July, and August were down. All 3 months totaled at 2.68 billion.
And it could have been a lot worse of a year, but there were some sleeper hits like Weapons, like Sinners. These things really brought the box office numbers up. If those movies that kind of were independent hits didn't hit, the numbers would have been way down because the major hits that were supposed to make billions of dollars just didn't, other than Lilo and Stitch. Okay, let's go into, I think Sony is next, actually.
Yeah, something that doesn't have numbers. I think it's because I'm a woman. From Variety, Sony Pictures CEO says, the studio episode has a kernel of brilliant truth, but everything else is horse, as most days we're not morons.
Yeah, and it's good to see Sony just come out and say this. Sony is a pretty good company that didn't really lean too much into messaging. When they did do Spider-Man, it was much better than the traditional Marvel movies. They know better than to stay away from stuff like this. Yeah, it's okay, but it does have way too much political messaging in it. Let's read a little bit about it.
Seth Rogen satirized Hollywood with his Apple TV Plus comedy series The Studio earlier this year, in which he plays the head of a fictional movie company called Continental Studios. The Emmy-nominated show made fun of lots of real-life Hollywood figures and featured filmmakers and actors playing themselves, like Martin Scorsese, Olivia Wilde, and many more. However, Sony Pictures Motion Picture Group CEO Tom Rothman is calling BS on some not-so-accurate aspects of the hit show.
Let's see what he calls out.
Speaking to Letterboxd, Rothman says, Oscar Wilde said that every jest is a truth in the womb of time. In each one of those episodes, there is a kernel of brilliant, blinding truth, and that's what makes great satire. The show is wonderfully satiric. Besides that kernel, everything else is horse-esque. Maybe some days, but most days we're not morons.
Okay. I just wanted to read a little bit about that. When I actually grabbed that headline, I thought it was about something else. But let's go into California here, and then we have a political story to kind of end on, even though I usually keep politics out of my day show.
California lawmakers reached deal with Uber, Lyft, I'm guessing, that would allow drivers to unionize.
Yeah, and this is a good thing. I think a lot of people are having to turn this for second and third jobs, yet they have no protections. A lot of these drivers don't even make that much money because they have to pay for the gas, the repairs on their car, the long-term damage to their cars. They're out on the road a lot longer, so they're much more likely to be in an accident. So it's good to see protections, but it looks like they're kind of skirting the traditional taxi companies in this sense. Let's read a little bit about it.
Let's see if I even can. Newsom and lawmakers struck a deal with Uber and Lyft, allowing them, I'm guessing, to unionize while remaining independent contractors. The compromise something gaining bill with reduced insurance requirements for companies, protections, and affordability. If passed, it marks California's largest expansion.
Yeah, and if they can get some of their insurance costs covered and other costs, that makes it more profitable for Uber and Lyft drivers. This would be really good.
The agreement includes a bill for collective bargaining backed by the Service Employees International Union, along with a measure sponsored by Uber and Lyft that would significantly reduce the company's insurance requirements for accidents caused by uninsured drivers, would ultimately reduce costs for passengers.
Okay, well, let's go into the last article of the day, and I was absolutely shocked when I watched a video on YouTube about this story, and then I found this article so I could kind of talk about it today. But 4 members of the AfD, which is the far right party in Germany, which they're actually investigating, they're tapping all their phones, they're doing all kinds of political underhanded play, are actually died suddenly within the last 2 weeks, which is crazy. This isn't an accident. When 4 people die in 2 weeks and there's an election within the next couple of weeks, I suspect there's foul play. There's no investigation going on in Germany right now, as far as I know.
Sounds like Mexico.
Yeah, it sounds like Mexico, and this is supposed to be a democracy. They want to protect a democracy by not letting the AfD run, or that was their plan.
From the BBC, Germany's far-right AfD suffers series of candidates passing away ahead of local vote.
And we also need to say that the mainstream media isn't picking this up at all. It's really hard to find stuff like this. And when they do it, they put their own spin on it. This could cause a lot of backlash in Germany if this was more widely known by the general public. And a lot of people could come out in favor of the new AfD candidates. The problem with that is if they took out these 4 candidates, maybe they have their own sleeper candidates within that organization that they'll try to put up.
As many as 6 candidates for Germany's far-right AfD have passed away in recent weeks ahead of local elections in the big western state of North Rhine-Westphalia. Police have made clear that there is no evidence of foul play in the passings.
They're all in the same district at the same time, right before an election. There's no way.
There's no foul play in the passings, but it means that new ballots will have to be printed. Oh, poor them. And some postal voters will have to recast their ballots. North Rhine-Westphalia has a population of 18 million and a reported 20,000 candidates will run for office in its September 14th local elections.
There's all kinds of underhanded play. You're having to rewrite ballots. People already cast their ballots in mail-in ballots. What happens if the mail-in ballots where people actually voted for one of the candidates from the other parties that actually remains? It gives an opportunity to actually count those ballots and then disqualify other AfD ballots. So I'd
like to know how old they were.
Yeah, this is just a shit show. And does this have anything to do with the jibby jab? I don't know. But if more people start passing away, people are going to start raising questions.
The number of passings has nevertheless raised questions on social media. The state's Interior Ministry has pointed out that candidates from other parties, including the Greens and Social Democrats, have also passed, which is why I'm wondering how old they are. The AfD became, we know that part. Initial reports centered on news that 4 of its candidates had passed, and then the passings of 2 reserve candidates also emerged, prompting a flurry of conspiracy theories on social media. AfD's co-leader Alice Weidel made no effort to squash the speculation, reposting a claim by retired economist Stefan Homburg that the number of candidates as passings was statistically almost impossible.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. It is impossible. And for the EU is hanging on by a thread. It's coming apart at the seams. That we talked before about the UK needing an IMF bailout. France probably needing an IMF bailout. One of their finance ministers came out and said that if they don't get it from the IMF, they'll have to get it from the EU. France is too big of a country for the EU to actually bail out. If Germany goes the way of the AfD, this is a a complete cultural shift within the country, and Germany is what holds the whole EU together. So they can have it happen anywhere else, but especially in Germany, they can't have this thing go the way of the AfD. So the fact that 4 candidates have lost their lives literally days before an election, this is more than highly suspicious. Okay, and we can kind of leave it there. We'll talk more about that on our politics. I don't bring much politics up in the morning, but that literally just came up and it was so unbelievable. I said, I'll at least put it in the last story of my morning show. And we'll be back tomorrow at, well, what's happening with your show anyway?
The Spanish show?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So when are you going to go on air? Today?
Well, because I had to miss yesterday because we were not in this studio.
We're searching for studios, so she wasn't on yesterday. She'll be on tomorrow, and I'll be back tomorrow as well. And then, yeah, that would be it. Thanks for tuning in.
Maybe I'll make it up on Thursday for the day I missed.
That's fine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers, and we'll see you tomorrow. Adios.
Thank you, Rafa, for all your comments as well. Have a good day.